Four friends were hiking in the mountains. At lunchtime, it started pouring down. The friends hid in a cave. They decided to. Four friends were hiking from the entrance to protect themselves from the chilly wind. When they were already deep in the cave, Amelia discovered she'd lost her phone. The girl asked her friends to go and look for her gadget, and she was going to stay there and start a fire. In a half an hour, the guys were back. James said he hadn't noticed a lake in the dark and had fallen into it. Oliver told her he had seen some bats, got terribly scared, and rushed back. And Ethan nearly got lost. "I'm so happy I made it back to you." Which guy behaved suspiciously? Ethan lied. James was soaked through after falling into the water. But why was Ethan's hair wet? It looks as if he was outside in the rain, but decided not to tell his friends about it. Mr. Lawrence called the police. He said someone had taken his car for a joyride, crashed it into a streetlight, and run away. The man was sure it had been one of his neighbors. The police questioned 3 of them. Ivy answered she had been at work and arrived home only in the evening. Cameron told the police he had been helping his dad remove old stuff from the attic. And Aaron claimed he had been hanging out with his friends, eating pizza, and binge-watching the latest series. After listening to all the suspects, the police officers arrested one of them. Who was it? It was Cameron. There's no attic in his house. He invented the whole story. Jackson was going to marry the love of his life, Liza. But one day before the wedding, his fiancée disappeared. Her room was a mess. On her bed, Jackson found a note with several hastily written numbers, 5509-710. Jackson knew 3 other guys were in love with his wife-to-be. Jaden was a landscape designer and often sent Liza beautiful flowers. Luke owned a gas station and usually tanked up the girl's car for free. And Asher was a hairstylist and helped Liza with her hair. All of these guys wouldn't be above taking the girl away to prevent her from marrying Jackson. But just one of them was actually guilty. Who? Jackson turned the note over and realized it read, "Oil Boss." It was Luke who had taken Liza away. Kevin had been dreaming of getting a motorbike for ages. He'd taken several training courses and read tons of specialized literature. And finally, the guy saved enough to buy the motorcycle of his dreams. Kevin was so excited, he immediately went for a ride. The guy was enjoying the trip when suddenly some force pushed him to the side of the road. He lost control of his bike and crashed into a tree. Luckily, Kevin was wearing a helmet and was unharmed, unlike his precious motorbike. The guy looked around and saw a gray Ford disappearing into the distance. It was a hit and run. Kevin was devastated. He checked his motorcycle. Despite being damaged, it was okay to ride. The guy continued on his way. Just several minutes later, he saw the very same gray Ford parked near a coffee shop. Kevin rushed inside and saw 4 people. He didn't need much time to understand who the driver that had hit him was. It's the man standing near the counter. The rest of the visitors are already eating. He's the only one still choosing what to order. Naomi invited her friends to a pajama party at her house where she lived with her parents and an older brother. The only thing she told the girls was, "Don't enter my brother's room. Mark loves playing tricks on people, and once you're in there, you might not be able to get out." They had been eating, gossiping, and watching viral TikTok videos until one of Naomi's friends asked, "Wait, where's Rebecca?" What the girls didn't know was that Rebecca went to the kitchen to drink some water. But she got lost and ended up in Mark's room. The door closed behind her back, and try as she might, it wouldn't open. That's when the girl noticed a password lock with letters on it. At a loss, Rebecca looked around. Was that a piece of paper on the table? She picked it up and saw 5 numbers on it. 37692. The girl thought for a while, then entered a combination of letters and got out of the room. What was the password? The code was the first letters of the 5 numbers, TSSNT. Claire's the best student in her class. She's also friendly and kind. Her classmates love her nice character and how she always finds a way to help them at the tests. This time, though, it's going to be tough. There will be new rules during their upcoming math exam. There won't be anyone at school except for the students and several teachers. The library, cafeteria, and gym will be closed. Students will have to leave their phones in a special locker. It won't be allowed to talk whatsoever. If students need to go to the bathroom, they'll have to do it one by one. And the teacher will check the bathroom after each student, even the toilet paper. Claire's classmates are devastated. They know they're going to fail the test. "Don't worry," the girl says, "I've got an idea." When the kids get their exam results, they see the highest marks. Their teacher knows the students cheated, but how? Claire was the first to go to the bathroom. She wrote the correct answers on the steamy mirror with her finger, and her classmates could read the answers by breathing on the mirror. The little cheaters. Detective Brown is following a man who's suspected of smuggling. Suddenly, the man speeds up and disappears around the corner. The detective runs after him, but there's no sign of the man. The only place where the suspect could hide is a beauty salon. Brown rushes inside and sees 3 women, but he knows for sure one of them must be the man he's looking for. Which one? All of the women look stylish and ladylike. But look at the arms of the one sitting on the right. They're too hairy to belong to a woman. That's our criminal. An expensive ring went missing from a jewelry store on the first floor of a large shopping mall. The manager called the police. After watching the CCTV camera footage, they had 3 suspects: a student, a woman with a 10-year-old daughter, and an elderly man. The student said he had agreed to meet with his friend next to the jewelry store. "I didn't even set foot inside." The woman was furious. "I was at the movies with my daughter here in the mall when everything happened." The elderly man said, "Yes, I did enter the store. I felt unwell and asked for a glass of water, but I didn't take the ring." Who's lying? All the movies running at that time had 16+ age rating. The woman wouldn't be able to watch any of them with her young daughter. Vicky's friends knew the girl loved all kinds of riddles and puzzles. Once, they decided to play a trick on her. While she was sleeping, they moved her to the attic and left her there with nothing but a note, a pen, and a flashlight. When Vicky woke up, she found herself in a dark room with no windows, a locked door, and a table with a piece of paper on it. The note said, "Crack this riddle, write down the answer, and slip it under the door. If it's correct, you'll be set free. M1Y L1I1 F1E." Vicky was a smart girl. She didn't need much time to find the answer to the riddle. Do you know it? The expression hidden in the note is, "for once in my life." After Vicky slipped the paper under the door, her cheering friends let her out. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. The guy got into the room through a narrow passage. It was blocked by a rock slide several minutes after he entered. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. It looked like this. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is try to understand. One day, a public library made a strange announcement. Each member could borrow as many books as they wanted. They also didn't have to return them for the next half a year. Why? The library was moving to a new building, but they didn't have enough money. And this way, the patrons would move most of the books by themselves. Smart. Sam invited his friends to dinner to show them the engagement ring he bought for his girlfriend. They sat down and he placed the ring on the table. Suddenly, the lights flickered off and the room went dark. When the lights came back on, the ring was missing. He called the manager and they interviewed his friends. Julie said she hadn't even gotten the chance to see the ring before the room went dark. Roger said he saw the ring's sparkly reflection as the lights went out, but nothing else. Michael said he was searching for his phone to snap a photo of the ring. The manager took a good look at everyone and knew who did it. You have 10 seconds to figure it out. It was Julie. When they sat down, she wasn't wearing gloves. Now she is. Liam's parents are police officers. They were working on a dangerous case and asked Liam to keep it a secret. After a week, he received a message from his mom telling him, "Son, we're okay. Don't contact anyone. We've sent you $5,317. Liam thought the message was suspicious. He checked his bank account, but he hadn't received any money. He immediately called the chief of police. Why? Here are your 9 seconds. If you flip the number 5317 upside down and horizontally, it reads lies. His parents are in danger, and they're communicating with him in code. While walking down the street, Susie found $10. 3 people were sitting on the roadside, and it was clear they needed some money. So she decided to help one of them. Kyle said, "I need some money for shelter tonight. If you have something to spare, it will help me a lot." Jim said, "You're a good girl. I don't have anything, and I don't know what you look like because I'm blind. But $10 will buy me enough food for today and tomorrow." Susan said, "I need money to feed my dog. He is at home and he's starving." Susan knew exactly who really needed help. You've got 8 seconds. She helped Kyle. Jim must have seen the $10, which is why he asked for the exact amount, even though he said he was blind. And Susan doesn't appear to be in much need since she has a place to stay. Mike is an undercover police officer. He had been following a suspect at the train station when the suspect exchanged a briefcase with another person. Michael followed the suspect further. The target walked into a huge corporate building. It was filled with security guards, and Mike couldn't get in. He saw through a window that the target went to the 10th floor. When Mike went back to his car, he found 3 uniforms in his truck: an electrician's uniform, a police officer's uniform, a window cleaner's uniform. You've got 7 seconds to pick one for Mike. The electrician would need to show some ID, so Mike would be outed as an imposter. The police officer would need to show some ID too, and that would ruin his undercover status. But the window cleaner doesn't have to go inside the building. He can climb up the window and pretend to clean them. Sarah called Detective Archie at midday on Monday to tell him she found her husband unconscious on the floor. She had been out shopping all morning, but when she visited her husband's home office to ask if he was hungry, he was lying on the ground. The ambulance came and collected her husband, but the detective didn't let anyone else leave. There were 3 other people in the house. The cook said, "I've been cooking all day. The couple is having a dinner party tonight and I'm swamped." The security guard said, "I was installing security cameras to make sure everything will be safe tonight." The house cleaner said, "I've been cleaning the living room, the sitting area, and all guest bathrooms to prepare for tonight, since everyone will be indoors." Who is lying? Here are your 6 seconds. It's the security guard. The cameras he's installing are outside. The house cleaner said this was an indoor party. One Friday afternoon, Shane, the CEO of a huge company, called the police to report a crime. The CEO said, "They broke into my office and smashed all my furniture. Then they hijacked the door and now it won't close. When they hijacked the safe, they took all my documents. I have only one key to the safe and nobody else has access to it." The detective immediately took Shane to the police station as the main suspect. Why? Here are your 5 seconds. If someone hijacked the safe, it wouldn't close, just like the door. But Shane was able to open and close his safe with his key. Michael is a private investigator and was going on a cruise to Norway. One morning, the captain came to his cabin needing help. The captain said he was studying some old 100-year-old maps and fell asleep on the bridge. When he awoke, his valuable watch was gone. Michael called in the last 3 people who were on the bridge that evening to interview them. The sailor said he was trying to uncover the lifeboats because there's a cyclone in Norway. The passengers might need to abandon ship. The cook said he was taking inventory to see what supplies he needed from Norway. The chief engineer said he was headed to the engine room with 2 other sailors because one of the engines had a problem. Michael knew exactly who was lying. You've got 4 seconds. It was the sailor. None of the lifeboats are uncovered, and if there's a cyclone, putting people on lifeboats in stormy seas would be more dangerous than staying aboard. Sally went to Hawaii for 6 weeks for her summer vacation. When she returned, her mansion was trashed and her dog was missing. She called the police and they started their investigation. Detective Michael noticed there were no signs of a break-in and there was fresh fruit on the table. He interviewed 3 people. Sally's son said, "I never visit my mom's house. I'm allergic to her dog." The maid said, "I came here a week ago, cleaned the house, fed the dog, brought some food, and then I left." The butler said, "I was on vacation at the same time as Sally. I came back yesterday. Here are my tickets." Michael figured out who was lying in 3 seconds. It's the butler. Even though the dates match, the tickets show 2019, not 2020. Lisa went to the movie theater on Halloween night with her husband. He was running late, so she sat down and waited for him. When the lights turned off, 2 people arrived and sat beside her. The one on the left had red spots on his shirt. He held a bag with red splatters that contained something very suspicious, and he had scratches all over his face. The one on the right had pale skin, bright red eyes, and he was holding a creepy doll. Lisa needs to go to the bathroom, and one of these people is her husband. Should she go right or left? Here are your 3 seconds. She should go left. Since it's Halloween and both people are wearing creepy costumes, look at their fingers. The guy on the left has a wedding ring like Lisa. It's her husband. The guy on the right holds a creepy doll that seems to be alive. Lucy is hosting a career guidance conference to inspire young students to pursue their dreams. She invited one person from each profession. When the conference ended, Lucy discovered the most expensive painting in the meeting room was gone. She called the police, and they searched the briefcases of the last 3 professionals to leave the room. The electrical engineer has a bag filled with wires, circuit boards, small screwdrivers, and solder. The plumber has a wrench, a hammer, and some plastic pipes. The veterinarian has a laser, a hammer, a drill, a fluorescent light, and a pair of latex gloves. Which of the 3 is dishonest? You've got 2 seconds. The veterinarian. Most of the things in his bag aren't related to his profession, and he used the gloves to avoid leaving any fingerprints. Da, 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 da.
I know something that will wake your brain up better and faster than coffee. Yep, it's time to find your magnifying glass.
Oh my god.
Look at this picture attentively. What's wrong here? Each of these 4 people has a slice of pizza in their hands, but only 3 pieces are missing from the pizza box. You have 3 jars that are all mislabeled. One jar contains apples, another contains oranges, and the third jar contains a mixture of both apples and oranges. You are allowed to pick as many fruits as you want from each jar to fix the labels on them. What is the minimum number of fruits that you have to pick and from which jars to correctly label them?
Yeah.
Let's look at this scenario. You pick a fruit from the jar labeled apples and oranges, and you get an apple. That means that the jar should be labeled apples. Now, the jar labeled oranges has to be labeled apples and oranges. As it can't contain oranges, and we've already got the apples jar, a similar scenario applies if it's an orange you take out of the jar labeled apples and oranges. So, you just need to take one fruit from the jar, apples and oranges, to label all the jars correctly. A farmer once challenged an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician to fence off the largest amount of area using the least amount of fence. The engineer shaped his fence like a large circle and said it was the most efficient way. The physicist made a long line and said that fencing off half of Earth was the best. The mathematician laughed at them and showed his design, which beat the others. What did he do? The mathematician made a small circular fence around himself and declared himself to be on the outside. Every day after work, Jack arrived at the train station at 5 p.m. His wife left home in her car to meet him there at exactly 5 p.m., picked him up, and drove him home. One day, Jack got to the station an hour early and started walking home. He was walking until his wife picked him up along the way. They got home 30 minutes earlier than usual. How long was he walking? The best way to think about this problem is to consider it from the perspective of the wife. Her round trip was decreased by 30 minutes, which means each leg of her trip was decreased by 15 minutes. It means that Jack must have been walking for 45 minutes. Logan is a special agent who's trying to catch a notorious villain. After long months of investigation, he finds the criminal's headquarters. But the door is locked, which is not a surprise really. Logan sees a screen next to the entrance. He touches it, and the display lights up. It must be a riddle. And our special agent needs to solve it to get inside. Add one line to make it right. 9.50 equals IOIOIO. Logan cracks the puzzle in no time. What's the answer? $9.50 equals IOTOIO.
Oh, yeah.
The door opens and the man steps into a dark corridor. After walking for some time, Logan notices another door. A code lock again. The man also spots a calendar hanging on the wall. At the bottom, there are several letters, M, F, W. After connecting the dots, the special agent figures out the code. What is it? It's 153. The letters stand for the days of the week: Monday, Friday, and Wednesday. Monday is the first day, Friday is the fifth, and Wednesday is the third one.
Oh yeah.
Look at these two families. Which one is fake? What do you think? Well, the family on the right has weird dietary habits. They allow their son to eat the whole cake on his own. But maybe they just don't care about healthy eating. The family on the left, though, seems to be perfectly fine. But have you spotted a USB port covered by the necklace the mother of the family is wearing? She's a robot, and all this family thing is just a joke. Now, look at these prisoners. Who is more likely to escape? Huh, gotcha. Neither of them. The one on the right will be stopped by the prison guard, while the one on the left will end up face to face with these pretty unfriendly dogs. How about these girls? Which one lacks common sense? That was another tricky question. Both of them aren't the brightest bulbs in the chandelier. The one on the left is going to post a photo of her credit card on her social media. And the one on the right is going to share the details of her ID and plane ticket with her followers. That's incredibly unsafe.
Oh my god!
It was the first day of school when the principal's wallet went missing. There were 3 suspects: the gardener, the math teacher, and the coach.
Oh no!
Here's what they said. The gardener was mowing the front lawn. The math teacher was checking the surprise test he'd given his students. And the coach was meeting new people who wanted to join the school's soccer team. Who took the wallet? It was the math teacher. No one gives surprise tests on the first day of school. Look at these women. Can you figure out which one isn't pregnant? It's the woman on the right. Her belly is strangely shaped, and something seems to be moving under her clothes. Ugh, creepy. One day, the emperor asked his general what he should choose if he was offered either justice or a lot of gold. "I'd choose the gold," the general answered without hesitation. The emperor was taken aback.
Oh.
"I would have been disappointed even if this was the choice of a servant," the emperor said. "But coming from you, it's not only disappointing but also shocking and sad." But the general justified his answer to the enraged and hurt emperor without a problem. What did he say? He said that people asked for what they didn't have. "Under your majesty's rule," he then added, "justice is available to everybody. But I am a spendthrift and always short of money. That's why I said I would choose the gold." The answer pleased the emperor, and his respect for the general was restored. The police arrived at a ski resort early in the morning. At night, someone attacked the manager of the hotel, and he was taken to a hospital, still unconscious. The police suspected 3 people: Laura, James, and Arthur, who had arrived the day before. The officers inspected their rooms, and here's what they found. Look at these things attentively and try to understand who attacked the manager. It was Arthur. Look, he doesn't have any warm clothing, which means he didn't come for skiing.
Oh no!
Allison is a big boss in an international company. One day, she's hurrying to an important meeting when she notices the documents she needs haven't been printed out, but she's asked at least 3 of her subordinates to do it. Ian says he's just returned from the supermarket because they've run out of coffee beans. Robert claims he's been terribly busy drafting a new contract. And Alice answers she's been in the kitchen preparing snacks and making coffee for the meeting. Who's actually forgotten about the task and is making up excuses at the last moment? It's Alice. There's no coffee in the office. Then how could she make it? Rich businessman Mr. Hudson had a serious disease and was staying at the best hospital in the city. He was treated with pills invented by a scientist working in that hospital. Mr. Hudson was feeling better and better and was getting ready to be discharged. But then, one morning, he was found in critical condition. The police had 4 suspects: the cleaner, the businessman's nurse, his assistant, and the scientist. The cleaner said that Mr. Hudson liked when his room was tidy, so she came every day to clean it. The nurse said that she gave Mr. Hudson's injections every morning, and they had even become friends. The scientist was very upset.
His disease was complicated, but we've made such progress. And today, this happened.
And the assistant answered that her boss asked her to bring his favorite sweets every day. And she did just that. Can you figure out who caused the worsening of Mr. Hudson's condition? It was the nurse. Mr. Hudson was treated with special pills. What injections is she talking about?
What?
Harrison was walking home when someone threw something at him and knocked the guy out. When he came round, he found himself in a room with 4 doors and a tiny window. Harrison opened the window, but it was too small for him to squeeze through. Suddenly, the guy spotted a piece of paper lying on the floor. It was a note that said, "Only one door leads outside. The other 3 doors don't lead anywhere. You can try to open just one door and only once. If you don't succeed, all of them will be locked forever." Harrison thought for a while and made the right choice.
Yeah.
How did he figure out which door was the one he needed? He opened the window. This created a draft. The guy checked the keyholes and felt some cool air coming from one of them. It was the door to freedom. Detective Sheldon Copper was resting at a beach resort when an unpleasant accident happened there. Someone pushed elderly Mrs. Stevenson into the swimming pool when there was no one around. But this someone didn't know the lady was once the best swimmer at her university and she never stopped practicing. So it wasn't difficult for her to cross the swimming pool and get out of it at the other side. Sheldon asked the lady if she had seen the attacker. She didn't, but she was sure it was someone who knew she'd just received a huge inheritance. The detective needed to talk to 3 people. They were Mrs. Stevenson's son, Terry, her granddaughter, Gloria, and her niece, Judy. Terry said, "These days, I've been very busy. Something urgent came up at work. I don't even have time to leave my room to go for breakfast or dinner." Gloria asked Sheldon to keep her secret. She was seeing a waiter she had met at a beach cafe. If her relatives found out, they would be furious. And Judy told Sheldon she'd taken a car to go shopping in the city center. Who's lying? Terry. The man looks sunburned. But how can it be if he hasn't left his room for days? Jaden bought a beautiful ring for his girlfriend. He wanted to propose to her at the weekend. He left the ring on his desk at home and went to work. But when he got back in the evening, he didn't find the ring. Only his 3 sisters were at home that day, and none of them liked his girlfriend. He went to question each of them. Mia was in her room. She said she'd spent the whole day there painting the walls. Emily was in the kitchen. She answered that she'd been cooking a birthday cake for her friend. And the youngest, Nora, was in the garden. She said she'd been planting roses. It didn't take Jaden long to figure out who had taken the ring. Do you know who it was? It was Nora. She looks too tidy for a person who was supposedly spending the entire day in the garden.
What?
Plus, she doesn't have any gardening tools. The best player of Julian's volleyball team disappeared right before the game. Julian's main suspects were 3 players from the rival team. Jackson said, "I've just returned from the gym. I was warming up before the competition." Leo had to pick up his wife and daughter from the hospital, and Ryan claimed he'd fractured his leg, and the team doctor was giving him a massage.
Yeah.
Who's behind the player's disappearance? It's Ryan. Getting a massage when your leg is broken? Really? Can you figure out the answer to this rebus riddle? The answer is summary. Richard Brooks, a famous jeweler, called the detective's office saying he had just been robbed.
I spent the entire morning showing diamond rings to a few people. A gentleman in a suit, a woman with her son, and a couple. When I looked down to grab the store's most expensive ring, I felt somebody hit me on the head. I fell forward, and when I woke up, everybody was gone.
Brooks told the detective. The detective asked to take a look at the security cameras, and in a few minutes, he figured out who had robbed it. Take a look at the image. Can you tell who did it? If you look closely, you'll see that the woman that was in the store with her son is carrying a teddy bear. But look at that bear's eye. It's bright like a diamond. She must have stolen it. Amy lives in a cozy townhouse with 3 roomies, Jill, Alice, and Nora. Take a look at these 4 bedrooms. Can you tell which one belongs to Amy? Let's go one by one, Sherlock. In the first room, there's a comb with some green hair stuck to it. Nora's the one with green hair, so that must be her room. Then in the room to the right, there's a single red sock under the bed. Take a look at Jill's feet. She's missing that same sock. That must be her room. In the room right under this, there's a yellow jacket hanging on the chair. And Alice is wearing the same colored pants. It looks like the 2 pieces are a suit, huh? This leaves the last room, with a huge letter A poster hanging on the wall. That must be Amy's room. Phew, that took some work. Bobby entered a coffee shop excited to drink his daily cappuccino. But when he went to pay, he realized he had forgotten his wallet. The barista, instead of getting mad at him, suggested another way out. If Bobby could win his game, he would give Bobby the cappuccino for free. Bobby agreed. Okay, I'm going to tell you 3 facts about myself, and you have to figure out which one is false, the barista said. Here are the facts. I have 3 brothers. I hate the color red. I have a PhD in philosophy. Can you help Bobby out? Which fact do you think is false? It's the second one. Look at how many red things the barista owns. His cell phone case, the belt he's wearing, and his hat. Kevin had to travel to Los Angeles on business. He checked into his hotel and went out for the series of meetings he had during the day. After a long day of work, he came back to the hotel exhausted. He ordered some room service and fell asleep binge-watching his favorite TV show. But in the middle of the night, he was woken up and kept turning and tossing around in his bed. That's when he picked up the phone, made a call, didn't say anything, then finally fell back asleep. Who did Kevin call and why? That's easy. He called the room next to his. His neighbor's snoring was through the roof, so it woke Kevin up. When he called his next-door neighbor, it woke him up, and Kevin didn't need to say anything. The neighbor stopped snoring, and Kevin was finally able to sleep. Will and Frank went hiking on their summer vacation. They walked for hours before finding the perfect spot to set camp, in the middle of a deserted island. The next morning, they thought it would be safe enough to leave their things unattended and went for a short walk around the island. When they came back, their stuff was scattered everywhere, and some of their things were missing. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who stole their things? Nobody. Look at how that palm tree is swinging. A storm is clearly coming and the wind got pretty harsh. So it was probably just the strength of the wind that scattered all their stuff around, and some of it might have gotten into the ocean. Yikes! You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room with 4 doors in front of you. When you hear a monster coming, you're sure you're running out of time, so you check the doors quickly. The leftmost door has a sign on it saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The second door has a sign saying, "It's the right door." The third door holds the sign, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door has a sign saying, "Don't trust the signs." Which door should you choose? Well, there's a little bit of wordplay here. Let's see why. The first door says to take the door on the right. The second one says it's the right door. It doesn't say that it's the correct door, so one could conclude that it's pointing to some of the doors on the right. The third door says freedom is just right in front of you. But that just doesn't make any sense, does it? You can interpret that as it's pointing to the door just on your right. And that's it. It's the last door. It tells you not to trust the other signs, but it doesn't tell you that they're false, does it? Someone stole a rare diamond from Mrs. Monica Fraser's house. Mrs. Fraser claims she walked into her bedroom and found that the glass box was broken and her diamond was gone. She called Detective Brian, who soon arrived at her place. He gathered 3 suspects. Steve, the gardener, said he was on holiday that week, so he wasn't anywhere near the house when it happened. Sophia, her cousin, said she didn't even know Monica had a diamond hidden in her house. And Adeline, the cleaner, said that when she cleaned the house around 10 p.m. the previous night, everything seemed all right. Take a look at the suspects. Can you tell who stole the diamond? It was Adeline, the cleaning lady. It seems that right after she broke the glass and stole the jewelry, she also wiped off the pieces of glass while cleaning as well. It was a lazy Sunday morning, and John was having breakfast in the kitchen. Suddenly, he heard a loud noise of glass shattering. He walked into the living room and saw that someone had just broken one of his windows. He was mad and decided to go outside to see if he could find the culprit. There were only 3 people in the street. Jake, a young boy, was coming home from football practice. He was holding a ball in his hands, but he swears he didn't do anything. Stephen, John's longtime friend, was carrying a toolbox and said he'd just decided to go over there to fix John's window. Robert, the newspaper guy, was riding his bike and throwing newspapers at people's front lawns. After interviewing them all, John knew who had done it. It was Robert. If you look at the lawn, the newspaper is lying on the grass beneath the window. He threw the newspaper towards the mailbox but missed it and hit John's window. Whoops! It's best John just laughs about this, huh? Becca and Tom are a couple, and they decided to spend their Saturday afternoon enjoying New York's good summer weather. One of them rented a scooter from Brown's Scooters and needed to pay for their ride. The owner of the scooter company came to charge the user the $15 they owed. Both Becca and Tom, who were sitting on a park bench at that moment, were arguing over who should pay for the scooter ride. Becca said that Tom was the one who wrote it, so he should pay for it. But Tom said it was Becca that wrote it, and she should pay for it. Can you tell who's lying? Becca is lying. Take a close look at Becca's footprints. They lead directly to the scooter.
You're taken into a dark cave. Your mission is to escape without getting caught. 4 different colored doors appear in front of you. A red one leads to an outer galaxy without a trace of oxygen. A yellow door leads you to a great white shark-infested water tank. A blue one leads to 66 million years ago, the time when a massive asteroid hit the Earth and made dinosaurs go extinct. And a purple door leads to a beautiful island filled with beaches and delicious food. On the wall, there's only one clue. It reads, "Pick the door that's not a primary color." You've got 10 seconds to open the right door. It's the purple door. Red, yellow, and blue are all primary colors, while purple is secondary. Plus, don't forget there's beaches and delicious food. You've managed to escape, and now you're transported to the beautiful island. You find a citizen in need. He tells you his brother had been taken by an evil mathematician, and the only way to escape is to solve his riddle. You rush to the scene and arrive at precisely 3 p.m. There, the mathematician greets you with an angry look and a tricky riddle. "If you calculate the height of my tower, you and my prisoner are free to go. If you fail, you'll stay here forever. I offer you 3 calculation methods to choose from: multiple long sticks, your shadow, or the long rope hanging from the tower. I give you 9 seconds." Without even knowing the measurements of the sticks or the length of the rope, even if they're the same height as the tower, you'd still not know the actual size of the building. The best option is your shadow. Knowing your height, you can compare how many times your shadow fits into the tower's shadow. Add them together, and you've just found the right answer. Now that you're safe and sound, you go to your hotel to get some rest. That's when the restaurant manager calls you for help. He left the dinner service, and his staff members said everything was quiet, so they closed up early. Before shutting down the restaurant, the manager asked them to send him a photo of the deserted restaurant. This is the photo I received. Everything seems empty, and it appears my staff members are truthful. But something seems off. Can you help me figure it out? You've got 8 seconds. It appears the image was photoshopped. The employees removed the people from the picture, but they forgot to erase someone's hand from the table. Right before walking upstairs to your room, the HR manager calls you into her office. She needs help with a job application she received for the receptionist position. She's looking for someone who is multilingual and narrowed it down to 3 applicants. But only one person is telling the truth. Sarah is from Belgium, and she speaks Dutch. Louise is from Switzerland, and she speaks Swedish. Marie is from Monte Carlo and speaks Italian. You've got 7 seconds to figure out who is truthful. It's Sarah. In Belgium, they do speak Dutch, French, and German. In Switzerland, they mainly speak German, and in Monte Carlo, French. Time to go to your room and get some rest. But the elevator you entered is a trap. It takes you to the hotel's basement, where 3 doors appear in front of you. The first door takes you to the Amazon rainforest, with green anacondas, electric eels, and poison dart frogs. The second takes you to the Antarctic circumpolar current, the largest and most potent current globally. The third takes you to the top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. It's the tallest mountain and largest volcano in the world that goes below sea level. Only one of them takes you to a safe place. Which one? You've got 6 seconds. Pick the third door. Mauna Kea is a dormant volcano, and it stopped erupting hundreds of thousands of years ago, so you're safe. You've made it out of the shady cave and you need to go to your room. As soon as you enter, the lights go off, and you hear bars lowering to the floor and huge chains shaking. You use your arms to navigate around and come across dots on the wooden floor. You run your fingers through them. It's Braille, and it reads, "One of the 3 magic mushrooms on this table will help you leave this place. Pick wisely, otherwise you'll be stuck in this dark room forever." The mushrooms on the left will make you super strong and provides healing powers. The one in the middle will bring the electricity back, and you'll be able to see. The one on the right will make you small and invisible. You've got 5 seconds to pick the right mushroom. Turning the lights on won't free you, and becoming invisible doesn't mean you won't bump into walls. The best option is the strength and healing mushroom. You can bang on the walls and bars until you break them. The next day rolls around. You head into the parking lot to pick up your car, but the car seems to be locked. There's a 3-digit PIN code lock on the passenger side door. On the side of the device, you read a clue. ABC equals 123. On the ground, there's a piece of paper that reads BAD. Use the clue to find PIN code numbers. Here are your 4 seconds. The code is 214. B is the second letter, A is the first, and D is the fourth. Now that you've got your car, time to do some shopping at the mall. You visit a jewelry shop. You discover it has a mysterious extension leading to a room filled with gold coins, diamonds, and other expensive metals. As soon as the owner spots you, he traps you in the room and locks the door. Nice shop. He tells you there's only one way to survive in that dark chamber. You must eat 1 muffin. If you eat the wrong one, you won't make it. But if you pick the right one, you'll be free to go. The first muffin turns you into moss. The second one turns you into a badger. The third muffin will turn you into a snake. 3 seconds. Moss can't survive without the sun for long, and snakes need the sun to regulate their body's temperature. The correct answer is the muffin that turns you into a badger. These creatures spend long periods in the dark. The mayor of the town calls you into his office. He politely ignores the fact that you're now a badger. He says that something mysterious is going on inside one of the town's restaurants. Everyone has turned into a zombie. Only one human is left in the bar, and you must save them. But first, you have to identify them. You're shown a photo with 3 people. Only one of them is human. You've got 3 seconds. It's the lady on the right. It looks like the red spot on her shirt came from her hot dog. The lady on the left is missing part of her ear. Now the mayor takes you to the local school. The principal needs to decide which of the students deserves to go to space camp next summer. She picked all the students that got A's on their report cards and gave each of them a bean. She said, "The person who will return with the tallest bean plant will win the prize, but you can't cheat." All kids came back with large plant pots and bean plants filled with smaller beans. Only one girl returned with a plant pot filled with soil. As soon as the principal saw her pot, he gave her the prize. Why? Here are your 3 seconds. The teacher gave them cold cooked beans. They couldn't have sprouted unless the students cheated. And these guys all got A's, huh? Makes you wonder. The mayor takes you with him on an investigation. A man named Martin had finished his veggie garden and invited his friends over for a party. Then his wife vanished. He called detectives, and there are 3 suspects in front of you. Steve said he was looking at the cherry tomatoes and picked one to try it. Donna said she was checking out the little squashes that had started growing. Martin said he was taking professional pictures of the flowers for his blog. You've got 2 seconds to determine who's lying. It's Martin. This was a veggie garden. It didn't have any flowers. Time for your last test. You're walking into an underground tomb. You must retrieve the treasure and make it out alive. As you walk deeper and deeper into the tomb, you come across a mysterious creature. He says, "You must correctly answer my riddle. If you do, the treasure is yours. If you don't, you'll disappear forever. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air to breathe. If water touches me, I cease to exist. What am I?" 2 seconds. The answer is fire. Jim goes hiking and gets lost in the woods. After a while, he gets really hungry. Jim wanders around and finds these 3 options, but only one of them is safe. Can you help Jim make the right choice? All the footsteps are leading to this berry bush, but not a single animal walked away from it, so the berries are probably poisonous. There's a scorpion creeping around these delicious bananas, so Jim should choose the apple tree. Timmy is packing bags for a hike in the mountains. Can you sort out extra items? It's unlikely he's going to need a hairdryer. Timmy's already taking a flashlight, and he probably won't have access to electricity. Therefore, he doesn't need this table lamp. And finally, he shouldn't take this heavy silver cutlery. A frog is at the bottom of a well. The well is 30 feet deep. The frog climbs up 5 feet every day, but it slips back 4 feet every night. After how many days will the frog be free? "26 days. Wow. The frog climbs up by just 1 foot per 24 hours. So in 25 days, it will be at the level of 25 feet. And on the 26th day, it will make the final 5 feet jump and get out of the well." Billy here wakes up in a creepy cave and finds 4 tunnels leading outside. He only has 1 chance to escape. There's a hungry tiger inside the first tunnel. The second tunnel is filled with dust and spider webs. Yuck! There's a water-filled tank with sharks inside the third tunnel. And the fourth tunnel is full of venomous snakes. Which tunnel is more or less safe to enter? Billy should choose the second tunnel. There are no spiders in this picture, only the webs. Crawling through them might be unpleasant, but at least he'll stay safe. 3 tourists go hiking and get into trouble. Surprise, surprise. Can you guess who has more chances to survive? third person. Although rats are gross, they're not fatal. Diana's boat was wrecked, and she ended up on a tropical island. The locals speak an unknown language, so Diana can't understand them. But still, she managed to spot this guy's wife right away. Can you see her too? It's the third lady. They have similar tattoos. Wendy is walking in the woods and falls into the trap of evil elves. She offers their king a deal. If I write your exact age on a piece of paper, you'll let me go. The king agrees and gives Wendy a piece of paper and a pen. In a minute, he lets her go. How did she do it? Wendy literally did what she said. She wrote your exact age on the paper. Ah, clever girl. Stan is walking home in a haunted city. He finds a nice spot to shoot a tic-tac. But unfortunately, he falls into a basement. Stan looks around and finds 4 doors out. There's a hungry dragon behind the first door. The second way is filled with intense fire. There's a desert filled with hungry piranhas behind the third door. And venomous snakes are waiting behind the fourth door. Which way is the safest? The third one. Piranhas live in water, so they wouldn't manage to survive in the desert. Therefore, they're not dangerous for Stan. Jessica gets lost in the desert with just one small bottle of water. She has no clue where the nearest water source is. What would you suggest? Run as quickly as possible to find more water? Pour all water on her head to avoid sunstroke? Find a shady place and rest? Stay where she is and shout for help as loud as possible. The third option is the best. When it gets darker and cooler, she can walk further and find help. Tilda is boarding a private jet. The crew greets her, and she spots an imposter among the crew members right away. Can you see this person too? The pilot is wearing a badge with a female face and name on it. Therefore, he had stolen someone else's ID. Tyler wakes up in the morning and finds out that his shadow is gone. He goes to the local witch. She offers to choose from these 6 options. But only one of these shadows really belongs to Tyler. Can you spot which one? Only the first shadow fits perfectly. Nina and Sarah are both fond of swimming, but one of them is making a big mistake. Can you guess who? Nina. The sign says that the water in this river contains toxic waste. Meanwhile, Sarah can easily surf in large waves. Kyle and Betty go to a remote village to spend a romantic weekend. They see a cute little farm on the way and buy some pomegranates. They go on a picnic and enjoy the fruits. Each of them eats half of the pomegranate. In 10 minutes, Kyle gets very sick. Betty takes him to the hospital. Doctors check everything and come to the conclusion the pomegranate was poisoned. Kyle and Betty ate the same food and drank the same drinks all day. How is it possible that Betty still feels well? The poison was in the white seeds. Kyle ate them whole, while Betty only the red part. Allison is jogging in a park. Suddenly, she comes across an angry brown bear. It's getting closer and closer, but Allison manages to survive. What did she do? Started running as fast as she could? Fell to the ground and pretended to be unconscious? Or stood still and didn't move? What do you say? Usually, brown bears only attack people when they're surprised or feel threatened. Allison fell to the ground, and the bear didn't consider her dangerous. Peter is hiking in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, he sees a mountain tiger in the distance. He's trying not to panic and begins to look for a place to hide. There are 3 possible options, but only one of them is more or less safe. Can you help him make the right choice? If Peter climbs this tree, the tiger can easily get him there. Tigers actually like to swim. That's why it's not safe for Peter to escape by boat. But if he hides in this cave and blocks the entrance with a stone, he can call rescuers and wait for evacuation. Alice is 45 years older than her son Tom. Both of their ages contain prime numbers as the digits. Also, Alice's age is the reverse of Tom's age. Can you figure out their ages? The only single-digit prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, and 7. Here's a list of possible age combinations: 32 and 23, 52 and 25, 73 and 37, 53 and 35, 75 and 57, 72 and 27, but only the last combination meets the first requirement. The age difference should be 45 years. Therefore, Alice is 72 and her son is 27. Polly is an archaeologist. She excavates an ancient city. Suddenly, she finds a beautiful antique vase, or vase if you prefer. But one piece is missing. Polly also finds these ceramic fragments. Can you help her find the missing piece of the vase? The fourth fragment fits perfectly. Dan lands with a parachute in a field in the middle of nowhere. Been there, done that. He finds the nearest bus station to get back to the city, but only one of these 4 buses will arrive at the station. Can you guess which one? It's the second bus. You can crack this maze much easier if you start drawing from the final destination. Amy leaves her workplace to go to the bathroom. She returns and finds out that someone had stolen all the cash from her wallet. Amy checks the wallet's surface for fingerprints, but she only finds her own. The next day, Amy questions 3 of her coworkers. Mike says, "Sorry, I've been out for lunch when the robbery took place." Oliver says, "I've been feeling sick all morning, so I went home early." And Will says, "I've been having a conference call with our clients." Can you spot the thief? It's Oliver. Take a look at his trash bin. He used gloves to steal the cash and then left them in the trash. He's the clumsy culprit. Brendan and Rachel are 2 archaeologists working on a digging site in the desert. One day, they came across a cursed artifact. Once they touched it, they magically got teleported into a room with no doors and no windows. How can they escape? Now, there are 3 signs that suggest they can escape through that wall. The first one is, if you take a closer look at it, you'll notice that the bricks at the center are slightly dislocated. The second one is, there's a wind coming from the direction of the dislocated bricks. You can tell it by looking at Brendan and Rachel shifting clothes. And the third one is, there's also a faint light coming from between the dislocated bricks. So, that can only mean there is actually nothing holding them together. They can just push the bricks and create a hole in the wall. Unfortunately, Brendan and Rachel found themselves inside another room. Unlike the previous, this one was very large, and there were 10 identical-looking ancient statues in it. But take a look at the scene. Do you notice something strange? This statue's eyes are following Brendan and Rachel. It's alive. Once Brendan and Rachel realized the moving statue, it started speaking. "How dare you enter the chamber where I am resting with my brave warriors? I will turn a blind eye to your disrespect and will let you go only if you answer my question correctly. If you can't, I will turn both of you to stone. I am light as a feather, yet the strongest man can't hold me for much more than a minute. What am I?" The correct answer is breath. Anna wanted to buy a van to travel the country. She went to the van fair to pick one. There were 3 vans she could afford. Take a look at each of them. Which one should she buy? Did the wooden flooring of the first van catch your attention? It's all scratched and blistered, so this one is a pass. Now let's check the second one. It seems like something is missing. It has no stove. How is she going to be able to cook? It's better she does not waste her money on this one either, so she should buy the third one. David went to the grocery store to buy some fresh fruits and vegetables. At the checkout, he realized that he had forgotten his wallet back home. It was closing time at the store, so there was no time to go home, grab his wallet, and come back to pay. The store manager said, "I'll let you get all the food for free if you can answer my riddle correctly. What has a heart that doesn't beat?" The answer is an artichoke. Jamie was riding his bike when he came across a junction. The first road was leading to a forest where it was raining acid all the time. The second road was leading to a pitch-black tunnel where nobody could see where they were going. And the third road was leading to a highway where it was so hot that even the concrete road was melting. Which one should he choose? Jamie should pick the second road because his bicycle has a headlight attachment here, so he can actually see where he's going. Florence was a contestant at the Who Wants to Be a Billionaire game show. She only had one question left to win $1 billion, and it was this. What starts with an E, ends with an E, but only contains one letter? But she couldn't figure out the answer, so she used her phone-a-friend lifeline and called you. Can you help her out? The answer is an envelope. The Rodriguez family went on vacation to a remote cabin in the woods. They brought a large supply of food with them, including several cans of soup. However, when it was time to open a can and start preparing the dinner, they realized they didn't have a can opener. Yet still, Mr. Rodriguez was able to open it. How did he do it? He used this rock on the counter to smash the top of the can. Yes, the rock was a can opener. Mrs. Rosie was knitting a sweater in front of the fireplace on one snowy winter night. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at her window, which caused the glass to shatter to pieces. Mrs. Rosie immediately could tell this was one of those 3 mischievous kids who lived in the neighborhood. They were brothers with the names of Robert McDuffie, Henry McDuffie, and Mark McDuffie. The next day, a paper note was left on Mrs. Rosie's doorstep. It had this cryptic message written on it. ? McDuffie. He threw the snowball. After reading it, Mrs. Rosie could immediately tell which McDuffie brother threw the snowball. Can you? The brother responsible for the broken window was Mark McDuffie. The symbol, ? is called a, question mark. Now the meaning of the message is clear as day, right? ? McDuffie. He threw the snowball. Now the question is, who threw Mark McDuffie under the bus? Ratted him out? Sandra was going to a monster-themed costume party. When she arrived at the venue, she greeted 3 people, but 2 of them were actually real monsters, and only one of them was a human. Can you tell who? The first guy is a real human because he is wearing a mask. You can see the ribbon of it tied behind his head. Sophia was an extra who acted in the season's most anticipated movie. She was invited to the premiere among the other cast members and crew. She wanted to look her best for the event and decided to hire a professional makeup artist to do her makeup. She found 3 makeup artists on social media to choose from. Take a look at their profiles. Which one should Sophia choose? Well, the makeup the first makeup artist is wearing is not so flattering. How is she going to do Sophia's makeup if her own looks that unprofessional? And did you see that the social media bio of the second makeup artist says only bridal makeup? So, the best option is the third makeup artist. Princess Madeline was going to have a crowning ceremony, and all kinds of important people were invited. However, on the day of the ceremony, her newly crafted royal crown got stolen from the vault. The head royal guard examined the security footage and boiled down the suspects to 3. When he questioned them, the first suspect said she had just arrived at the palace at the time the crown was stolen, so she didn't do it. The second suspect said she had spilled a drink on her dress and went back home to change it, so she didn't do it. And the third suspect said even if she was a thief, she would not be interested in stealing a crown made of emeralds. Who do you think did it? Now remember, the crown is newly crafted, so nobody has seen it yet, and there is no way anyone could know what gemstones it is made of. So it's the third lady who stole it. Simon was going to propose to his longtime girlfriend. He wanted the ring to be special, so he engraved his and his girlfriend's initials along with a heart shape inside the ring. However, when his girlfriend saw it, she immediately broke up with him. Can you tell why? Do you see the necklace Simon's girlfriend is wearing? It says Beatrice on the pendant, so that must be her name. But the engraving inside the ring says S loves D. This probably means Simon is cheating on her with another girl whose name starts with D, and he mixed the names up. Simon says, find somebody else. Anthony was going to start working at his dream company. To celebrate the good news, his dad wanted to get him a new luxury watch as a good luck gift. He went to the store to pick one. The salesman showed him 3 different watches. Which one should he buy? Do you see the tiny scratches the second watch has? That must be a returned product, so it's a pass. And the third watch here shows the time wrong. The store clock on the wall says it's 5 p.m., but the watch says it's 4:40 p.m., so it is running behind. Better not risk spending all that money on a malfunctioning watch. So he should buy the first one. Nancy was hiking in the woods. She lost track of time and couldn't find her way back to her car in the darkness. In the distance, she saw a small cottage with lights coming from the windows. She headed there to ask for help. When she knocked on the door, a wizard greeted her and said he would help her only if she could guess what animal his familiar was. Can you help Nancy figure it out? Take a look at the magic staff the wizard is holding. The head of it is raven-shaped, so his familiar must be a raven. Amir's favorite band was in town to give a concert. After it ended, Amir rushed backstage to catch the band members before they left and asked for an autograph. But the security guard stopped him. After Amir begged him and told him this was his biggest dream, the security guard said, "I will let you meet the members if only you answer my riddle correctly. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years?" Come on, the security guy. Anyway, do you know the answer? The correct answer is the letter M. Penny's new favorite hobby was bird watching. She was trying to observe all the birds in her region and take notes about them. One day, she saw a rare species of bird and wanted to learn everything she could about it. Can you help her figure out which of these trees in the forest is this bird's home? Did you see the leaf that was stuck among the wing feathers of the bird? Only this tree has the same kind of leaves, so it must be where the bird's nest is located. Sally had a history exam the next day, but she had not been attending any of the classes, so she didn't have any notes to help her study. Nellie, on the other hand, was a very hard-working student who had never missed a single class. When Sally asked Nellie if she could borrow her class notes, Nellie said, "I will only allow that if you answer my riddle correctly. What has 4 letters, sometimes 9 letters, but never has 5 letters? Can you answer it?" Well, the answers are hidden in the question this time. This riddle isn't describing something, it's actually telling you how many letters each word has. The word what contains 4 letters, the word sometimes contains 9 letters, and the word never contains 5 letters. Since Sally was a lazy student who didn't study, she couldn't answer the riddle and flunked the exam. She was grounded to her home after school for a month. And Nellie ended up with Sally's boyfriend Pete, who everyone said could have done better than old Sally. And now you know the rest of the story.
Meg is a college student, and sometimes she works as a DJ at the local club. Today, she's walking home after work and sees a band of criminals robbing a bank. They notice her and decide to get rid of the witness. They grab Meg and take her to their secret hideout. Meg looks around and finds 3 doors leading to freedom, but there's a danger behind each door. The first passage is filled with toxic gas. There's a hungry wild wolf behind the second door, and a magic song is played behind the third door. It's cursed and makes people go crazy in a second. Which door is safe? Meg can put her headphones on and turn on some loud music to avoid listening to the cursed song. Meg goes to a fancy SPA hotel on a Friday night. She returns home the next morning at 9 a.m. She finds a bunch of flowers and heart-shaped balloons near her apartment door. The secret admirer is unknown, but Meg identifies 3 suspects. She interviews all of them. She asks just one question: "What did you do last night?" Noah, Meg's classmate, replies, "I was at a party with my friends. I came home at about 6 a.m. Meg's ex-boyfriend, Jacob, replies, "I went to the movies with my new girlfriend. Then we went over to her place, and I came home half an hour ago, so I didn't have time to send you flowers, Meg." And Meg's best friend, Mike, says, "I had a fight with my mother in the evening, so I grabbed my laptop and went to the park. I played computer games in the street all night long, and then I fell asleep right on the bench." Who's lying? Mike. He couldn't be playing all night long without recharging his laptop. Meg is walking down the street. She carries an expensive laptop in her bag. Suddenly, a masked thief grabs her bag and runs away. Meg starts chasing him and sees that the criminal enters a hospital. Meg follows him. Oh no, there are hundreds of rooms here. Luckily, it's raining and the criminal leaves footprints on the hospital floor. Meg follows them and gets into a room. There are 3 people here, all covered with bandages from head to toe. Can you help Meg spot the thief? It's the third guy. He doesn't even have a medical chart next to his bed. Mike invites Meg on a date. She goes shopping with her friend Maya to find the perfect outfit for the night. Maya takes a couple of pictures of Meg. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. After shopping, Meg and Maya decide to visit a beauty salon, but it turns out that one of these hairstylists is an imposter. Can you guess who? It's the guy on the right. He's spraying the client's hair with bug spray. Mike and Meg go on a date, but one of the guests in the restaurant is not a real human being. Can you guess who? This lady. Take a look under her table. She's a mermaid. Meg is having an important test today, and time is up. She puts her final exam paper into a pile with the other students, but the professor tells her, "I saw you cheating on the test. You'll get an automatic fail." Meg replies, "Do you know who I am?" The professor says, "I neither know nor care who you are. You have to be punished for your dishonesty." Meg walks away, speechless. The next day, the professor announces the grades, and Meg discovers that she got an A. How come? The professor indeed didn't know who Meg was. That's why he graded her paper just like everyone else's. Meg and Mike realize they can't live without each other. The next day, they start looking for an apartment. They go to 3 agencies. Each agency shows them one apartment. The guy likes them all, but they heard many bad rumors about realtors. That's why they take a closer look at the documents. Which apartment should they choose? They should pick the third option. The first apartment is on the 5th floor, but that's impossible. The building only has 2 stories. The agent is lying. As for the second apartment, the description claims that it only has 1 bedroom, but the blueprint shows 2. Mike goes to his granny's old country house to take some furniture and a TV for their new apartment. Nobody lived there for a while, so this place is pretty dusty. Mike enters the living room and sees that the TV is broken. He questions 3 neighbors. Andy says, "I didn't do it, but I guess it was Kyle. He's been acting pretty weird recently." Kyle says,
It wasn't me, it was Bill. He broke my fence last week for no reason.
and Bill says,
I didn't do it. I'm pretty sure it was Kyle. He's just trying to set me up.
"Who broke the TV?" Let's take a look at the TV screen. It was pierced with a garden fork. Kyle is holding a garden fork in his hands, but it only has 3 prongs, while there are 4 holes in the screen. Meanwhile, Andy's holding a 4-tined pitchfork in his garage. Busted! Meg loves art, so she's visiting an art exhibition to find something special for their interior. The art dealer says that this rare work was painted in the Middle Ages. Meg takes a closer look and says, "You're a liar! This piece is fake!" How did she know? They didn't use light bulbs or electricity in the Middle Ages. What about this painting? Can you spot anything odd? They didn't have smartphones in the Viking era. Let's see if you can spot a mistake in this painting. There are dinos in the background. They went extinct a long time before the Baroque era. Meg and Mike get an invitation to a wedding. This is the groom, Alex. He's an old friend of Meg. And his future wife's name is Nellie. Which of these ladies is Nellie? It's the third lady. She's wearing a name bracelet. Meg and Mike return home from the wedding. Unfortunately, someone robbed their apartment. The police arrive quickly and examine the crime scene. They question 3 neighbors who live on the guy's floor. Tilda says, "I was watching my favorite show in my headphones all day long. I don't know what happened." Steven says, "I was riding a bicycle in the park all day. I returned a couple of hours ago and went to the shower. Your door looked as usual." And Megan says, "I had a party in my apartment. We had dinner and talked loudly, so I didn't notice anything suspicious." Who's lying? Steven. His leg is in a cast, so his story about the bike must be fake. Mike has just returned from a supermarket, but unfortunately, someone changed the 5-number code on the combination lock. So he can't get into the apartment building. Can you help him crack the code? There's a note next to the door. It's a clue. Count the number of elements in each emoji and you'll get the code. 3, 5, 1, 5, and 2. Mike works in a coffee shop. He leaves his phone charging on a table and goes to the toilet. After a while, Mike returns and finds out that his gadget is gone. He decides to question 3 witnesses standing nearby. Ava, the customer, says, "Sorry, I've been talking on the phone with my boyfriend. I didn't look around." Another customer, Rocky, says, "I entered the coffee shop a second ago. I didn't see a phone, man." And Holly says, "Sorry, I was too busy preparing beverages for our clients. I didn't notice anything suspicious." Who's lying? Rocky. He was standing in the line before Mike even left for the toilet, so his story's a lie. Mike and Meg are walking in the park late at night. Everything seems so romantic, but suddenly the guys notice something really creepy and run away. What scared them so much? Let's take a look at the trees. The wind is blowing from left to right, but the flowers sway from right to left as well as the clouds. It must be a ghost.
Tyson was thinking about buying a gym membership. There were only 3 gyms in the area where he lived. The first one was called Iron Muscles Gym, the second one was called Stronger You Gym, and the third one was called Fit for Life Gym. Now take a look inside all of them. Which one should he choose? see the clean towels wardrobe inside the Stronger You gym? They don't look clean at all. It's not the best option unless he loves germs. And take a closer look at the running mill inside the Fit for Life gym. It's broken. That's an accident waiting to happen. So he should pick the Iron Muscles gym. Ellie and Ollie were looking for a nice hotel to spend their vacation together with their puppy. After checking out some places online, they brought down their options to 3. Take a look at the website of each of them. Which one should they pick? Do you notice the small stock photo sign on the photos of the first hotel's website? That can only mean they are scamming people. The second hotel seems like a good option since it's a 5-star one. But do you see the small sign on the website that says, "No pets allowed"? They can't go there with their puppy, so they should stay at the 3rd hotel. James and Jonathan went camping in the woods. As they were searching for the perfect place to set their tents, they came across a river that only had one bridge to cross to the other side. However, as soon as they stepped on it, a troll appeared in front of them and said, "I'll only let you pass if you answer my riddle. Until I am measured, I am not known. Yet how you miss me when I have flown. What am I?" The answer is time. Hillary was sitting in her hotel room when someone knocked on her door. She opened it and saw a man whom she had never seen before. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I have made a mistake. I thought this was my room." He then walked back to the elevator. Hillary immediately locked the door after him and called hotel security. What do you think made her so suspicious? Nobody knocks on their own hotel door, but the man did that. Captain Bluebeard was traveling the sea with his crew. At one time during their voyage, 2 of his sailors were standing on opposite sides of the ship. One of them was looking west, and the other one was looking east. But at the same time, they could see each other clearly as well. How is that possible? The sailors had their backs against either ends of the ship. Newton and Curie were 2 history professors from Planet Q. To complete their planet Earth research, they had to explore a place the Earthlings used to call a school. There, they found a piece of paper with a handwritten number on it, but couldn't come to an agreement about what the number was. Newton was saying it was 6, and Curie was saying it was 9. Who is correct? Do you see this teeny tiny dot here? That can only mean the number is 9. So, Curie is right. Yeah! The Foggy Mountains region of the Kingdom of Endolia was occupied by the most vicious dragon. The king called Knight Samuel to go on a quest to defeat it and take all the gold it stole from the people back. Yeah. So, Knight Samuel hopped on his horse and reached the mountains after a long journey. Once the dragon saw him, it said if Knight Samuel knew all 3 of its riddles correctly, it would leave the mountains as well as all the gold. The first one was, "Soft and fragile as my skin, I get my growth in mud. I'm dangerous as much as pretty, for if not careful, I draw blood. What am I?" It's a thorn. "You're a clever one, Knight Samuel," the dragon said. "Here's my second riddle. I am a box that holds keys without locks, yet they can unlock your soul. What am I?" The answer is a piano. I have only one riddle left for you, but be very careful. If you can't answer it correctly, this kingdom shall be mine. When you went into the woods, you got me. You hated me, yet you wanted to find me. You went home with me because you couldn't find me. What was it? The answer is a splinter. Annie forgot her computer in her dorm room, but she urgently needed to use one to submit her school paper. Her mom had a laptop in the study room, but it was password protected. However, She was easily able to figure out the password. How did she do it? Take a closer look at the bookcase inside the room. Some of the books have letters instead of their titles on the side labels. This book has the letter A, this one has N, another N here, there's an I on this book's label, and this one has an E. So the password is Annie. Professor Guillermo was the headmaster of the Academy for Superheroes. He was also responsible for holding examinations to select new students for the Academy. There were only 3 students left who successfully made it to the last part of this year's exam. To pass it, they all needed to show Professor Guillermo their special power. The first student's power was going invisible. The second student could make objects fly. And the third student could bend metal with her mind. However, Professor Guillermo realized that one of them was an imposter. Which one is it? Take a closer look at the object that the second student is levitating. Do you see the small on-off button here? That can only mean it's actually some tech device that can fly on its own. So he is the imposter. Jane was competing at Who Wants to Be a Billionaire? And she was only one question away from the $1 billion prize. The question was, it's true, I bring serenity and hang around the stars, but yet I live in misery, you'll find me behind bars. With thieves and villains I consort, in prison I'll be found, but I would never go to court unless there's more than one. What am I? It's the letter S. Dylan was going to buy a new car. The salesman showed him 3 options. Which one should he choose? Take a look at the side door of the first car. The paint on here is chipped. It's not wise to get a car that's already damaged. The third car's left tire rim is cracked. This one is also a pass. So he should get the second car. Oh, yeah. Catherine has 4 daughters, and each of her daughters has a brother. How many children in total does Catherine have? Each daughter has the one and the same brother, so she has 5 kids. Rachel and Ashley were best friends, but one of them was living in Japan, and the other in the United States. Rachel had purchased a BFF bracelet for Ashley and wanted to mail it to her. However, the only way to make sure the bracelet would be received was to place a lock on the package. Rachel had locks and Ashley had locks, but neither had keys for each other's locks. How can they ensure the bracelet isn't stolen? Rachel should place a lock on the package and send it to Ashley. Ashley then should place one of her locks on the package and send it back to Rachel. Rachel removes her lock and sends the package back to Ashley. Marla goes to the grocery store and buys 1 dozen eggs. As she's going home, all but 3 eggs break. How many eggs are left unbroken? The answer is hidden in the question. She has 3 eggs left.
Hey! In this video, I'll show you fast food logos, and your task will be to recognize them. Sound good? Let's go! You'll get 1 point for each correct answer. Keep track of your score. At first, you'll see 2 logos. One is real and one is fake. You have to find the real one. Let's start out easy. Where is the real Subway logo? It's this one right here. Now, do you see the one and only Burger King logo? It's the one on the right. Next up, Taco Bell. What's your call? Here it is. Donut King logo. Which one is it? This one, of course. Okay, Pizza Hut. Where is the real one? It's the left one. Sonic Drive-In. You've got it. That's the one. Everyone's favorite ice cream, Baskin-Robbins. Here it is. Tell me which one is Chipotle's real logo. It's this one. And now it's A&W's turn. Pick the left one. Menchie's frozen yogurt. What's the logo? It's the right one. What about Boost Juices? Where is the correct logo? Right here. Thoughts on Whataburger? This is the one. A bit harder to figure out, but I believe in you. Jamba Juice. Here it is. What about Taco Cabana? This one, of course. Sbarro, what do you think? What's the correct logo? It's the left one. Next up, Taco Tico. What do you say? Yeah, this one. Try to find the Pollo Tropical logo now. Now that's the one. Back to ice cream. Where's the Cold Rock Ice Creamery logo? Here's the original one. Do you see the correct Baja Fresh logo? Pick the left one. Tutti Frutti Frozen Yogurt. What's the correct fruit arrangement on the logo? Here's the right one. Find the Arby's logo. It's the one on the right. Another one for you, the Cheesecake Factory. Which one? Here it is. Will you know what the right logo for Golden Corral is? This one, did you get it? Next up, Papa Gino's. What's your choice? It's the left one. Now pick the correct Bojangles logo. That's the one. Let's change the task a bit. No right or wrong, I'll show you a logo and you have to remember which company it is. They are all about fast food and restaurants too. Let's start way too easy again. Hit it! McDonald's, of course. What are your thoughts? What is this logo? That's IHOP. Another easy one for you. Hit it! Dunkin' Donuts. What do you think about this one? Cold Stone. What about this chicken? Where does it belong? Nando's. Can you recognize this one? It wasn't too hard. White Castle. What about this frame? It's a very famous place. Papa John's. What about this one? I bet you know it. Dairy Queen. Another one for you. What do you say? Del Taco. Do you know where this smiling star comes from? Of course, it's Hardee's, or Carl's Jr., depending on which state you're in. Here comes the apple. You know it. Applebee's. Let's make it a bit more complicated for you. What is this brand? Panera Bread. Okay, what about this one? Jack in the Box. Good. Next up, this one. That's Fazoli's. Did you get it right? Now, try to focus and tell me what you think. That's Fatburger. It's getting harder. No more McDonald's for you. What is this one? Wingstop. Bingo! What do you say here? Long John Silver's. It might be hard to recognize, but you definitely know it. What is it? TGI Fridays, of course. Another frame for you to figure out. I didn't promise it would be easy. That's Cinnabon. Do you think you know this logo? El Pollo Loco. What about this one? Roy Rogers. Another one for you. What are your thoughts? It's Johnny Rockets. We're almost through this task, just 3 more. What about this one? It's Denny's. Do you think you know this logo? It's Captain D's Seafood. Last one for this task. What's your call? If you said Firehouse Subs, you're right. Level Up, a new task. I'll show you just parts of a logo, and you have to guess the brand. Don't worry, we'll start with easy ones again. Look, here's one you definitely know. Wendy's, of course. See, not that hard. Yet. What about this one? That's Starbucks coffee. You're nailing it. Another one for you to recognize. KFC, of course. Do you recognize this face? It's Big Boy. Another cute face for you to remember. I bet you can figure it out. It's Bubba Gump. This one's easy. Hit it. Domino's Pizza, obviously. What's your guess here? That's Chuck E. Cheese. What does this stand for? Any thoughts? In-N-Out Burger. Quite simple. What do you say? This is Panda Express, that famous Chinese food chain. Concentrate and you can guess it. It's the Red Rooster. What's your best guess here? Little Caesars. What about this cactus? Where is it from? That's Qdoba. And what about this guy? Can you recognize him? Hog's Breath Cafe. Think carefully. Can you drag out this piece out of your memory? Orange Julius. What's this one, in your opinion? Yogurtland. It wasn't too hard, was it? Moving on. What's this supposed to be? Chick-fil-A. What do you think this is? Auntie Anne's. Another cactus, just a different one. Where is this one from? Must be something Mexican if you ask me. Taco time. What about this one? That's Hooters. Do you recognize this curl? Pinkberry. Any ideas here? Waffle House. Did you get it? The game is getting harder again. What do you think this is? Buffalo Wild Wings. Another part of a logo for you to recognize. What's your call? Zaxby's. Where is this pretty branch from? It's Olive Garden. Here comes the most impossible of all tasks. Feel free to take all the time you need and add 10 points to yourself if you get it right. What is it? Five Guys Burgers and Fries. So, what's your score? Let me know in the comments.
A punctured tire. A man was driving his car all the way from New York to Boston. Only at the end of the trip did he discover that one of his car's tires had been punctured from the very beginning. Still, he managed to reach his destination successfully, and his journey wasn't affected by this problem. How is it possible? The punctured tire was the spare one. A tricky ploy. A big company director returned from lunch and discovered that his safe had been broken into and all the money had been taken from it. Inside, he saw a note, "Don't even consider calling the police." Well, the man did exactly the opposite. He called the police and told them he suspected that his half-brother David was to blame. One of the police officers visited David and asked him several questions, but the man showed the detective his right arm, which was in a cast. "Look, I broke my arm just a couple of days ago. I couldn't get into my brother's office or write a note." The police officer had nothing to do but leave. He decided to have lunch in a cafe across the road from David's apartment. Half an hour later, the detective noticed the man leaving home. At that very moment, the detective realized that the brother was guilty after all and rushed to arrest him. How did he understand? The police officer noticed that while leaving the apartment, David had the cast not on his right, but on his left arm. Is he smart enough? One day, a cute new guy, Tom, joined Katie's class. All her classmates had a crush on him, and he clearly knew about his popularity. But whatever they did, Tom didn't pay attention to any of their signs of affection, and his eyes were only for Katie. She also liked him a lot, but she wanted to make sure he wasn't just cute but smart too. So once, when they stayed alone in the classroom, Katie walked up to the whiteboard, took the marker, and wrote 128 square root sign E 980. Tom looked at it for a few seconds and then smiled, and Katie knew he cracked her riddle. Can you? Mathematically, this riddle doesn't make any sense, but if you wipe the upper half of the whole expression, you'll get "I love you." Takes a bit of wit, huh? A fired manager. Mark, Jim, and Bob work as managers in the same office. One day, one of them is fired, and one gets a promotion. The remaining manager wants to resign at first, but then changes his mind. You know that the one who's fired is older than the rest and single. Jim's younger than the manager who has decided to stay at work, and he doesn't know Bob's wife. Who's fired? It's not Jim because he's younger than the manager who stays. It's also not Bob because he's married. It means that Mark has been fired, Jim has got a promotion, and Bob has decided to stay in his position. An antique dealer's riddle. David was a famous antique dealer in his town, but there were loads of people who envied him. The man had a young, beautiful daughter, Lisa. One evening, when the antiquarian was busy in his workshop, his phone rang. A man told him that they had David's daughter. If he wanted to see her again, he had to give his jewelry collection to a man waiting at the doors. It wasn't the first time someone was threatening David. That's why he requested to talk to his daughter. He asked her just one question. "I have 2 hands, but I can't scratch myself. What am I?" When David heard no answer, he said, "It's not my daughter," and hung up. What's the answer to this riddle? Lisa would know that her father was talking about a clock. A driver's problem. A man was driving along a countryside road when one of his car tires burst. While changing it, he accidentally lost all 4 wheel nuts. The road was deserted, and the driver was afraid he'd have to spend many hours waiting for someone who could give him a hand. But a kid passing by his vehicle said something that helped the man solve his problem. What advice did the child give the driver? The kid told the man to remove 1 nut from each of the remaining wheels and use them to secure the new tire. This way, the man could get to the nearest service station. Notorious shoplifters. Detectives had been trying to catch 2 infamous shoplifters for several years, and finally, after another case, they managed to capture one of the culprits. Police officers were interrogating him for 2 days, but he said nothing about the goods and money they'd taken or his accomplices' whereabouts. Still, in the next 24 hours, the detectives managed to find the place where the stuff was hidden. It was a small house in the suburbs. In its basement, there was a man who seemed very excited to see the police. He said he'd been trapped in the house already for a week. Nobody visited him, and he was starting to run out of food. That's why he was so happy to read the good news in the paper. The police officers immediately realized it was the accomplice they'd been looking for. How? If he was trapped in the basement, how could he get a hold of fresh newspapers? 2 buckets. You have 2 buckets of water. In the first bucket, the water is heated up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In the second bucket, the water is cooled down to minus 100 degrees. You need to simultaneously drop 2 coins into the buckets. Which coin will reach the bottom faster? The coin thrown into the warm water. The other won't sink at all because the water in the bucket is frozen. Let it go. Important documents. John, the director of a big company, managed to persuade his partners to sign a super important agreement. He then put this document into a folder and left it on the table in his private office. When he returned to work the next morning, the folder was gone. Surprise, surprise. John gathered all the employees who were in the office at that time and questioned them. The cleaning lady said she had been busy washing the floor and hadn't paid attention to anything around. The designer explained he hadn't left his working place even once. What's more, being an artist, he didn't have any interest in agreement documents. The accountant admitted that he had entered John's office to have some documents signed, but once he noticed there was no one inside, he immediately left. Who took the folder with the agreement? It was the designer. Otherwise, how would he know that the missing folder had an agreement inside? Socks puzzle. Matthew wears either only black or only white socks. One evening, he's in a hurry, getting ready for a romantic dinner with his girlfriend. Suddenly, the power goes out. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in his drawer, but all of them are mixed. If it's completely dark in the room and Matthew can't see anything, how many socks must he pull out of the drawer to get 2 matching ones? Just 3. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 socks of the same color. A smart teacher. One day, a teacher decided to give her students a test, but all of them refused to take it. She could give detention for skipping the test to only one student. All of them knew each other's names. If a student knew they were going to get detention, they agreed to take the test. How could the teacher make all the students participate? She told them that she'd give detention to the student whose name came first alphabetically. Then this person wouldn't skip the test. The next person on the list wouldn't skip as well, and so on until the end of the list. Hidden treasure. Martha really loved her little sister Mary, but once she had to go away for the whole day. She didn't want Mary to miss her too much or get bored. That's why she organized a treasure hunt for the girl. Before Martha left, she gave her little sister a map. She told the girl if she followed the instructions, she'd find a real treasure. Mary followed the map to a T. She made the exact number of steps and turned at all the right spots. She eventually got to the end and started digging. The little girl dug and dug, but still found nothing. Naturally, she was pretty upset. When Martha got back, she took the map and almost immediately found the treasure. How so? Martha made one major mistake when she was drawing the map. Her steps were a lot bigger than Mary's. That's why the younger girl couldn't find the spot where Martha had hidden the treasure. What happened to Prom King? Soon after Bob became king on prom night, he vanished. Poof, like that. His teachers were looking for him everywhere. They believed there were 3 people who could be behind his disappearance. Bob's rival Joe said he had been dancing all night with his girlfriend and hadn't seen Bob. Bob's classmate Dennis claimed he hadn't been feeling well, so he spent all night in the lounge. Laura, Bob's secret admirer, said she had been counting the votes for the election. The teachers knew who was behind the disappearance right away. It was Laura. Bob had already become prom king. She didn't need to count the votes. Sam's birthday. Sam is a truly special young lady. She was just 17 the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll be 20 already. What's her secret? Sam's not a time traveler or anything. She was born on December 31st. So if today is January 1st, it's correct to say that she was 17 the day before yesterday. She turned 18 the next day. She'll be 19 on the last day of this year, and next year, she'll be 20. Thirsty on an island. Simon was shipwrecked and washed up on the shore of a deserted island. He's thirsty, and the only thing he has is a plastic bag and a straw. After looking around, he sees a juicy cactus, a tall leafy tree, a dirty pond, a pool of mud. How can he use the plastic bag to get water? He can't use the cactus. It can be toxic, and without a sharp tool to reach the pulp, the plastic bag is useless. The dirty pond and muddy pool are filled with bacteria and parasites, and without tools to start a fire and boil the water, he could get sick. The best bet is the tall, leafy tree. He simply needs to tie the bag on the edge of a branch and pierce it slightly with a stick. The tree will produce drinkable water through transpiration. Well, that's clever. Where's the waiter? Adam is the head waiter at a one-story steakhouse. On the busiest night of the week, he vanished, and the owner called the police to file a missing persons report. Detectives talked to the last 3 people who saw him. A trainee server said she only saw him when he got to work and parked his bicycle. The chef said he saw the waiter in the kitchen when he came to get a glass of orange juice. The cook said he last saw the waiter going upstairs. After the statements, the police arrested the cook. Why? This was a one-story restaurant. He couldn't have gone upstairs. Spilling the tea. Susie went to study for her university exam at a coffee shop. She ordered a white tea and sat down. 10 minutes later, she got up to go to the bathroom. When she returned, her laptop wouldn't turn on and her teacup was empty. Someone had spilled the tea on her computer and cleaned it up. She called the manager, told him what happened, and they came up with 3 suspects. The barista said he had been swamped and didn't see anything. The supervisor said he was sorry that the milky tea spilled on the computer, and he could see if insurance would cover the cost. The head barista said he was sorry the milky tea spilled on her laptop, and he'd make her another one while they waited for the police to arrive. Immediately, the store manager knew who did it. It was the supervisor. He couldn't have known that the tea had milk in it since it was cleaned up. The only person who remembered the order was the one who prepared it. The missing phone. We're at the coffee shop again. This time, Stuart forgot his phone on the table when he left. But once he realized and came back, his phone was gone. He saw a guy running outside the store, and Stuart chased him. When he caught him, Stuart said, "I've lost my device. Did you take it by accident?" The man replied, "I have no idea where your phone is, sir. I was just grabbing coffee." Stuart immediately called the police. Why? Stuart told him he lost his device. That could have been anything from a smartwatch to a camera or something else. The guy couldn't have known it was a phone unless he took it. Where did the baker go? The Cupcakes Den is a local shop that became famous for its tasty, well, you guessed it, cupcakes. On Monday morning, the head baker vanished, and the shop couldn't deliver the 200 cupcakes they had promised for a birthday party. The owner called the police, and they had 3 suspects in their custody. The helper said he had gone out to buy more frosting, but when he returned, the baker was gone. The waiter said he had been cleaning the shop of the massive mess from making the 200 cupcakes. The manager said he was meeting with a new supplier to get more beef jerky at the shop. The detectives knew who was lying. Can you guess it? It's the manager. Who needs beef jerky at a cupcake shop? Get the last question right. Adam was taking part in a Brain Teaser TV game show, and he had one last question to answer before winning $50,000. He was tired and decided to call his best friend Luke to help him. The host asked, "If you could rearrange the order of the letters in this word, ACIPCIF, what does it show? A country, a city, a large mountain, or an ocean?" Luke answered correctly. Can you? An ocean. If you unscramble the word, it shows Pacific. Where's he hiding? Martin vanished one morning and his family called the police. Detectives searched everywhere and questioned 15 people, but none of them gave any untruthful answers. His son Jake found a letter from his dad saying, "If you love me, you'll find me." He went to his father's office to see if he could find any clues. He was looking around the room and immediately knew where his father was hiding. Can you guess it? On the wall, there's a picture frame with his dad's cabin, and it's got a hand-drawn circle on it. He must be there. Lost in an underwater cave. Sarah just got her certificate as a cave diver. She decided to spend her afternoon exploring some dangerous underwater ocean caves. While turning left and right, she got lost. She didn't have enough time to look for her way back and continued swimming further. That was when she came across 3 openings. Through the first, there were 45 hungry piranhas. Through the second, a great white shark. And through the last one, a giant box jellyfish. Which is the safest path? The first one. Piranhas are freshwater fish. They can't survive in salt water. The van. Susan was outside watering her plants when she noticed 3 people dressed in black clothing carrying electronic devices from her neighbor's home. She asked them what they were doing, and they said they were from a moving company. Immediately, Susan called the police. Why? There were no license plates on the van, and movers don't only carry electronic equipment, but all sorts of stuff. The prison escape. One morning, Detective Smith was called into a maximum security prison to discover how 3 men had managed to escape from their cells. The prisoners could neither see nor talk to each other, but they arranged their escape together. They went to the shower room at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and only one person was allowed in at different periods. How did they manage to communicate and escape? They wrote messages to each other on the bathroom mirrors, used steam to read them, and planned their escape together. The villa disappearance. It was a cold, rainy weekend. Michael, Susie, Amara, and Luke were spending Saturday and Sunday together playing board games. On Saturday morning, when they woke up, Amara was missing. They looked everywhere for her but couldn't find her. That was when Luke called the police. Detectives examined the room and asked everybody what they were doing at 4 a.m. Luke said he couldn't sleep, so he went downstairs to the gaming room to play some online games. Michael said he couldn't sleep either, so he went outside to look at the stars. Susie said she followed Michael outside to get some fresh air. That was when the detectives figured out who was lying. Michael and Susie. It was a rainy weekend, remember? The cursed photo. Alan was on his final stretch to becoming a detective. He passed a bunch of assessments until he reached the last one. This was where his attention to detail skills would be tested. The chief of police handed Alan a photo. He told him, "This is Michael. He's having a birthday party. But something in this photo is very eerie." Alan spotted it in 2 seconds. Can you? There's a hand inside the blue balloon. Well, how did it get there? The right amount of water. Peter was the best problem solver in his class. One day, his chemistry teacher called him up to test his intelligence and inspire his peers. He gave Peter 3 glass jugs. None of them had any measuring markings on them, but just a label showing their maximum capacity. The first jug was filled with water up to the top, and the label read 8 liters. The second was empty, and its label showed 5 liters. The third was also empty, with a maximum capacity of 3 liters. The teacher told Peter to arrange the liquid so that only 2 liters remained in one glass jug without using any measuring tools. Peter figured out how to do it in 4 seconds. First, he needs to fill the 5-liter jug all the way to the top. Then he needs to pour the water from the 5-liter jug into the 3-liter jar until it's full. What remains in the 5-liter jug is 2 liters. The treasure coin. An archaeologist spent the past year looking for a lost ancient treasure. As he was digging, he found one ancient gold coin. He took it to his museum. When his colleagues carefully cleaned the coin and took a closer look, they refused to accept it. Why? It reads 100 BCE on the back. Ancient people didn't know they lived in that era. Or did they? No, they didn't.
Kira is a very independent young lady. 2 years ago, she moved into a one-story house in Alaska. Since then, she's been living there with her dog. Her house is made of sandstone, and it's pretty cozy and warm. Can you guess the color of the stairs inside? There are no stairs in a one-story building. One day, Kira went to town to buy some dog food and meet with her sister, Mia. They went for a walk and stopped in front of these two houses. In each house, a family with 2 pets with dogs or cats lived there. Kira told Mia 2 facts about those houses. On the left, the family has a dog that likes dry food, but the other pet loves canned food. And the family in the house on the right has a 7-year-old dog and a newborn pet. Mia asked Kira, "Do both families have a cat?" Kira replied, "I'm not sure, but if you manage to guess the house with the cat, I'll give you $100. Can you guess which family is more likely to have a cat? Okay, let's analyze this. The house on the left offers us 3 possible scenarios. A younger cat and an older dog, a younger dog and an older cat, or just 2 dogs. We can't consider a cat-cat option because Mia mentioned that there was at least 1 dog in that house. Now, all these 3 options are equally possible, and 2 of them include cats, so the chances of a cat living in that house are 2 out of 3. As for the house on the right, there are 2 possible scenarios. Since we already know that the older pet is a dog, here's the first possibility. The younger pet is a cat, and the older animal is a dog. And the second possibility suggests that there are just 2 dogs. So, here, the chances are 1 in 2. That's why Kira should choose the house on the left. This way, her chances of winning are higher. Mia invited Kira to visit her workplace. She's a manager in a luxury resort hotel. The building has 7 floors. 5 people are now staying in the rooms on the first floor, and on each next floor, there are 3 people more than on the previous floor. Can you figure out which floor the elevator is called most often? To the first floor. Any person living not on the first floor has to call the elevator to get to their room. Will is a famous billionaire. He decided to stay in the best room in the hotel. He's got 3 gold bars that weigh 4, 2, and 1 pound respectively. The charge for the room is 1 pound of gold per day, and the hotel staff don't accept any advanced payments. Will wants to stay at the hotel for 7 days. How can he pay for the room? Here's the scheme. On the first day, Will should give them his 1 pound bar. On the second day, he should give the 2 pound bar and take his 1 pound gold bar back. On the third day, Will should pay with the 1 pound bar again. And on the fourth day, the guy should give the 4 pound bar and take both the 1 and 2 pound gold bars back. On the 5th day, he can pay with the 1 pound bar. On the 6th day, he can give them the 2 pound bar and take the 1 pound bar back. And finally, on the 7th day, Will should pay with his last 1 pound gold bar. Will offered Mia a deal. "If you crack my riddle, I'm going to give you the biggest diamond from my collection." He arranged these matchsticks in a square, which contained 4 smaller squares. Can you remove only 2 matches so that there's only 2 squares instead of the 5? Mia nailed it right away. What about you? Here's the solution. You have to remove these matchsticks, and voila, you have only 2 squares left. Then Will offered Kira an opportunity to win a fortune. There are 100 precious red stones and 100 simple white stones in his collection. The billionaire gave the girl 2 different bags labeled heads and tails. She can put the stones wherever she likes. Then, Kira has to flip a coin and choose a stone from the corresponding bag, heads or tails. If it's a red one, she will receive all the precious stones, but if she picks a white stone, she'll get nothing. How should Kira distribute the stones to increase her chances of winning? If she puts just one red stone in one bag and all the other stones in another, her chances of winning will be 3 and 4. Let's wish her luck. There are both humans and werewolves in the lobby of this hotel. They look very similar, so you can't identify who is who by their appearance. Both people and werewolves tell either only the truth or only lies. These 2 handsome gentlemen came up to Mia and Kira. Adam said, "Bill is a lying werewolf and I'm a human." And Bill said, "Adam is telling the truth." Can you help Kira and Mia decide who these 2 guys really are? We know that they cannot tell half-truths. So, Adam's statement is only true if both parts of it are true. Let's suppose that Bill is an honest human. Then Adam should be honest too. But Adam called Bill a liar, which creates a conflict. It means that Bill's statement cannot be true. So Bill is a liar. And knowing that, we can conclude that Adam is a liar too. But what about their nature? Are they humans or werewolves? Adam's first statement is a lie, which means that Bill is not a werewolf. Therefore, Bill is a lying human. And the second part of Adam's statement means that he's a lying werewolf. Adam and Bill invited Kira and Mia for dinner. When they asked the ladies about their parents, Kira replied, "We have the same father and mother, and we were both born on the same day." Adam asked, "Are you twins?" Mia replied, "Nope, no we're not." How can this be possible? Have you guessed? Kira and Mia are not twins. They're 2 of a set of triplets. They have a third sister, Sophie.
Hi.
Kira and Mia went to the swimming pool. They saw 10 swimmers chilling on sunbeds near the pool. 2 of them decided to jump into the water. How many swimmers remain near the pool at that moment? 10. The 2 swimmers might have decided to get into the water, but it doesn't mean they've done it. Kira entered a very small dressing room. There were 4 cats sitting in 4 corners. There were 3 cats across from each cat. And at each cat's tail, there was 1 more cat. Can you tell how many cats there were in the room? The room was very small. Each cat was sitting near the tail of the cat from the neighboring corner. In the ladies' room, Mia met this weird woman standing in front of the mirror and applying some lipstick on her forehead. Can you guess what's going on? She's trying to make up her mind. In the basement of the hotel, Mia and Kira found a barrel with no lid and some milk in it. Kira said, "Whoa, this barrel of milk is more than half full."
Oh,
And Mia said, "No, it's not. It's less than half full."
yes?
Without any measuring tools or pouring any milk out of the barrel, how can they easily determine who's right? They should tilt the barrel until the milk touches its lip. If the bottom of the barrel is visible, it's less than half full. And if the bottom is still completely covered with the milk, then it's more than half full. A large group of students came to a scientific conference held at the hotel. 280 students study chemistry, 254 students study physics, and 280 students study biology. At the same time, 97 students study both chemistry and physics, and 138 students study both physics and biology, and 152 students study chemistry and biology. Also, there are 73 students who study all 3 subjects. Can you figure out the total number of students at the conference? Take a look at this Venn diagram. Now, it's obvious that the total number of students is 500. Mia gave Kira 3 shoe boxes labeled red, blue, and red and blue. She said, "I labeled the boxes incorrectly. You can only open one box of your choice and then label the boxes correctly. If you do it, I'll give you all these shoes." Can you help Kira label the boxes? Kira should opt for the box labeled red and blue. Since the boxes are labeled incorrectly, this box will contain either red shoes or blue shoes. Let's suppose that Kira found red shoes inside the box. Now she can remove the red label from the wrong box and put it on the correct one. Meanwhile, the box labeled blue cannot have blue shoes inside. Neither can it contain red shoes. It means the blue box must contain both red and blue shoes. Now, Kira has only one remaining box that she can label as blue, and if inside the red-blue box there's a pair of blue shoes, Kira can use the same logic to label the remaining shoes. Take a look at the table. How many matches can you see? Eight. Here they are.
Lola is a waitress on a giant cruise liner. One night, after the restaurant closed, she found an expensive watch on the floor. She announced it on the cruiser's radio, and 3 people showed up to claim it. Roger showed Lola the tan line on his wrist and asked her to give him the watch back. Mary said she remembered dropping the watch near the entrance of the restaurant and wants it back. Susie kept asking if the watch was okay and if it was working. Lola decided that the watch belonged to Susie. Why? You've got 10 seconds. Roger's tan line on his wrist is too small compared to the watch Lola found. And if Mary remembered where she dropped the watch, why didn't she pick it up? Susie knows how expensive her watch is, and she was worried it broke. Jenna and Michael were out partying on Halloween night. Michael told Jenna she wouldn't dare to go to a 120-year-old abandoned castle on the other side of town. Rumor had it that a mad scientist used to live there. Without a second thought, Jenna started walking. She reached the house at 3 a.m. and the door was open. When she walked in, the crazy scientist showed up and told her, "I've got a riddle for you. If you answer it correctly, you're free to go. If not, I get to do my scientific experiments on you. A sphere has 3, a circle has 2, and a point has 0. What is it?" You've got 9 seconds to find out. Dimensions. Michael left his work and walked into the dark parking lot in the basement to get his car. When he approached his vehicle, he saw a 4-pin lock on his door. He kept looking at it when his boss showed up. He told Michael, "I want to see if you're smart enough to get a promotion. You only get one try. If you figure the code, tomorrow you'll move to the executive's office." His boss gave Michael a piece of paper that read, "Which was the latest passing year that was the same upside down?" Michael started thinking of all the years that passed, and the next day he got the promotion. You have 8 seconds. Think fast. It's 1961. Susie arrived at the dance studio for her rehearsal when she found her instructor unconscious on the floor. Next to him there was a broken vase. Someone must have hit him on the head. Susie called Detective Allen at the scene, and he was suspecting 3 people who entered the studio that day. William, another instructor, said he had an emergency private class with a celebrity and left before anyone showed up at the studio. Mason, a professional dancer, said he took the week off and dropped by today to give the keys back to the dance instructor because he forgot them in his bag when he left the day before. Sally, a dancer, said she had class today, but when she showed up, she didn't see anyone through the window and assumed the studio was closed. Detective Allen knew exactly who was lying. You've got 7 seconds. It was Sally. Her fingers are covered in bandages and cuts. They must have happened when she broke the vase. Lucy was walking back home from the restaurant. She was talking on the phone to her sister and took a shortcut through a creepy park. Suddenly, someone came behind her and snatched her handbag from her shoulder. She tried to chase them, but it was too dark. She only saw a figure going into the cinema. Lucy followed them there, and when she went in, she only saw 3 girls standing there and questioned them. The first girl said she just got there, and she's waiting for her friend to arrive. She said she's holding a big bag to sneak some food into the theater. The second girl said she missed the movie because she has a broken leg and it took her a while to get all the way to the cinema, so she's waiting for the next viewing. The third girl said she came back from her friend's house and wanted to see what movies are playing. Lucy took a good look at them and knew exactly who was lying. You've got 6 seconds. It was the girl with the broken leg. Her left leg is broken, and instead of holding the crutch on the left to support her weight, she has it on the right side. Alex was at the park, snapping photos of trees and flowers for a photography competition. When he finished, he placed his camera on the bench and tried to disassemble his equipment to head back to his car. Suddenly, he heard someone running, and his camera was gone. He saw the person going inside a blue car. Alex got the rest of his stuff and followed the robber. He then saw the car parked outside a restaurant. He walked in and saw 3 people sitting down. Can you guess which of them is the robber? You have 5 seconds. It's the one on the right looking at the menu. The others are eating. They've been there for a while. Sarah and Michelle went to explore an abandoned castle. When they walked in, the door shut behind them and the lights went on. In front of them, 3 doors appeared. They must pick the right one to make it out alive. Behind the first door, there's a hungry crocodile that hasn't eaten in 2.5 years. Behind the second door, there's lava from a volcano that erupted 2 weeks ago. And behind the third door, there's a massive seawater pool with a whale shark you must swim through. You have 4 seconds to decide. Crocodiles can go without food for 3 years, and lava can remain hot when it's well insulated for months. The best option is the whale shark. Even though it's a shark, we humans are indifferent to them. Tori was the lead actress in a movie. They were filming on a deserted island to make sure nobody was around to interrupt the scenes. The day before the shooting, Tori was found unconscious in her room, and the crew member called Detective Martin on the case. He interviewed 4 suspects. The producer said he'd be scouting the island to find a new location with a lake, and he didn't talk to anyone all day. The writer said he'd been making some adjustments to the scripts in his trailer. The camera operator said he was testing his filming equipment when a stranger approached him for directions. He ran off to help them. The director was sitting on the beach, writing down notes about small details he wanted to add to the movie. Detective Martin figured it out in 3 seconds. Can you? It was the camera operator. Hey, this was a deserted island. Nobody was there needing help. Anna is a vegetarian restaurant owner. The day she opened the new restaurant, she invited her family to celebrate. Her sister came first, but found Anna unconscious on her office floor. She immediately called the police, and they questioned everyone that entered Anna's restaurant that day. The electrician said he came in for some final checks to make sure everything works. The cleaner said he came in for his shift, but Anna was okay before he left. The chef said he had been sharpening his knives for the meat carvery station. The police arrested the chef. Why? Here are your 3 seconds. This was a vegetarian restaurant. There's no meat carvery station. Jenny, a famous singer, went abroad for her first concert. She checked into a hotel and went to perform for her next show. When she returned to her room, she realized all her jewelry was gone, and she called the police. Detectives checked the cameras and saw that nobody left the hotel that night. The person who took them was still inside. There were only 3 people at the hotel. Michael said he couldn't sleep and spent the entire night in the lounge reading. Jason, the manager, said he spent the night in the back office watching TV because it was quiet. Margaret said she went to the hotel's pool to swim alone. The police knew who was lying. You've got 2 seconds. It's Margaret. Hotel pools are closed tonight for maintenance. Jason and his wife are millionaires. They have 3 sons and 2 daughters. All kids were going on a camping trip together, and the couple will have the weekend for themselves to relax. When they woke up the next day, all their money was taken from their safe, and they called the police. When the officers showed up, they interviewed the 3 people who were in the house that morning. The butler said he was cleaning the car after driving the kids to the camping site. The chef said he was busy preparing a huge breakfast for the family. The cleaner said he finished cleaning quickly that day and left early. The police figured out who was lying in 1 second. Can you? It was the chef. Since the kids were gone, he couldn't have been cooking breakfast for the family.